And I'm going to be hosting the technical webinar today. You tell by that feedback there a little, we've got an open mic. People can ask a question anytime they want. Probably best to mute your desktop or computer audio till you have a question. But if you do have a question while we're going through, don't hesitate to ask it. So we'll go ahead and get started here. It's on the hour. We don't really have a slideshow or anything. We're just going to jump right into this. I'm going to share my desktop. I'm working on a Mac Mini today, which is a little foreign to me. So if I hit the guardrails just a little, please excuse me, but we should be able to get through this. What we're going to do here is configure Freeance Mobile for Cityworks on the server side and see what that looks like on a mobile device, specifically an iPhone. Now it runs on an iPad or an Android smartphone or tablet, but we're going to use the iPhone mostly because of my emulator shows up well with a iPhone. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop here on my Mac. And you see I've got my iPhone simulator there. And what we're going to do is bring up just a browser. The browser is where the Freeance configuration software is loaded. So what we're going to be working with today is the Freeance Mobile server configuration. That's this application right here. It's a web-based configuration. It goes into Freeance server, which is server-side software, which sits on top of a Cityworks server install. And here's the Cityworks server install we're going to be using. Let's call up another tab, and here's something that should look familiar to everybody. We'll go ahead and log into it. It's just a standard Cityworks 2013 server, web client. We log into it. We've got our map configured. We've got our templates configured. This is actually data from Montgomery County Water Service here in Dayton, Ohio. It's a sample set. So you see we can jump into a work order or service request, all that standard stuff. So this is the server we're actually going to be hitting. So let's go ahead and go into Freeance configuration. Once again, this is server-side software. This is the configuration, and we're just going to be going through this and setting up our Freeance iPhone application, which is sitting over here on my emulator, and we'll be able to log into our application and do all the standard stuff that we do in Cityworks web application. So we'll go ahead and use our standard login. I'll go ahead and run through this just very quickly. An example of this. So we've got our work order service request inspections. I can jump to a map. This is a live ArcGIS server map. This is my map for Cityworks server. I can zoom, I can pan, I can zoom to my GPS location, do all that standard functionality. We'll go ahead and turn on some layers here while we turn on the water, wastewater layer, maybe turn on parcels and buildings. So this is Freeance's map viewer. This isn't ArcMobile or anything like that. This is our map viewer. And as I zoom down, I'm looking exactly at the information I'd see if I was looking at this ArcExplorer on a browser or Flex Viewer or whatever. I can do some other features here. This bullseye down here on the bottom, that's a GPS follow me button. So I can actually drive down the street and see my location. It'll follow me just like Google Maps. I've got layers here, as I showed you already. Layers are very simple. I can group them together. I've got zoom out and zoom in. If I want to select this hydrant, I just click on it once. It'll go ahead and bring up that map feature for me. I can identify it. I've got some other tools here too. When I go into the map, or the hydrant I should say, I click on it, I can attach a work order, and that's going right into a Cityworks work order. Go ahead and do that. So this brings up my templates. Everything that Cityworks is set up for. So I'll go ahead and grab a hydrant here. All my supervisors, all my pull downs are set and ready to go. Comments, instructions, I can grab my GPS location. I can grab photos. There's my asset, custom fields. Go ahead and save that. And that writes directly to my Cityworks server. So I've got work order 242785. I could actually go over to this, my work order here, or Cityworks client, and find that. Let's go to work orders and search on that and bring that record up. But let's go ahead and start into here our configuration, because that's what everybody joined for. I think everybody's familiar probably with Cityworks, how it works and so forth. We'll just bring up that work order, shows we entered stuff. So there it is. The work order I just made. I can modify it here. If I modify it here, it'll show those modifications in Freeance Mobile app. So how do we do this? Okay, so I'm back into the configuration. Let's go ahead and go into this. The first thing I want to do is I want to hook up to a map service. I got to display my map for my Cityworks records. You know, I got map features attached to them. I want to attach assets. I want to view stuff, so forth, identified. So I'm going to hit a map resource, and I'm going to add a map resource. And I'm just going to browse over. I've got a GIS server.net. Is it secure? No, it's just standard HTTP. What's the address? Well, the address is just whatever my internal or external IP is here. So I'm just going to type in demo 3, whoops, without the typo, demo 3.freeance.com. And this is going to drill right over to my live Cityworks server. And I think I'm on port 6080 now that I'm using 10.1. So let's list available services. There we go. There's my Cityworks map service. So I go ahead and click it. I'll just type in. I'd say maybe I want to make a mobile application for the hydrant flushers or testers. Let's call it hydrant test. Okay, that's my group that's going to go around, test the hydrants. So there's my map service preview. Let's go ahead and hit apply. And what I've done here is I've just hooked up to my map service. Any ArcGIS map service. Here's the layers in that map service. I can turn them off, on, shift them up or down. Let's go ahead and grab our coordinate projection so our GPS goes into our state planes. And we'll just hit apply. That's how quick that is. So I hooked up to my map service for my Cityworks records. The next thing I'm going to do is come in here and we're going to hook up to our Cityworks server. So let's come in here and we'll say, hey, I want to add a new profile, and this is my hydrant testers. They're going to go around and test hydrants, and I want to make a mobile application just for them to use. It's going to be specific to them. we'll go ahead and jump into it now that we made it. And here I go. I'm going to just say, first hook up to my Cityworks server that I already have running. What version is it? It's 2013. We're compatible also with 2013.1. And where's my server? Well, my server is, let me go over here and check. I'm pretty sure it's demo 3. Okay, so let's go over here and check. It's demo 3, my Cityworks server, .freeance.com, and my Active Directory is Cityworks. Once again, my projection, I want to make sure GPS lat long gets into the correct coordinate projection. I happen to know that I'm Ohio State Plains South B. We'll go ahead and grab it. And that's it. I've connected to my Cityworks server. That's that quick. I'll hit apply. And let me jump into my iPhone here. Let's back out of this. And keep going back here and go into options. And you notice right now I've just got water. But if I hit load configurations, let's load our configurations. Now I've got my new hydrant test. That's what I just built. So it's that quick to get Cityworks records out there. I can go ahead and hit done, hit save. What's my Cityworks login? This is your standard Cityworks login. And here I go. I go into work orders. I go into service requests. You notice one thing now, though, I do not have a map option up here on the top right that I had previously. Let's go ahead and fix that. Let's go into our configuration for hydrant test, and we'll open up the map tab, and we'll connect to that map resource that I just made. I just made that map resource for hydrant test. Let's go ahead and use that map. There we go. That was that quick. So now if I go back into my iOS, and I go back into my options, and I load my configuration one more time, and I hit save, you'll see that I have a map in there now. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in. Oh, you know what I did? I gotta hit apply here. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and hit apply. Now let's go back one more time. So what's nice about this is very quick to modify my application to make changes to it. Do I want a different map service? And we'll show you how we set up searches and layer controls and so forth. So now I've got my map tab. Not only do I have work orders, but I've got my service requests, but I've got my map tab. So here's my map service. It's going to come up here. It's a live ArcGIS map service. Now it's going to take a little bit of time to come up here because I'm bringing up all my layers. And the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go back in and start to configure this map service. So there's searches, there's layer control, there's layer selection, there's entity selection, and so forth. So it's specific for my hydrant testers. So as I said, this is coming up. And that's why it took so long to come up, because I'm just displaying everything. And my ArcGIS map service, I don't have any zoom tolerances set, so it just brought up everything. Well, let's go fix that. So we're going to come in here to hydrant test. Go ahead, Bob. You had a question? Did somebody have a question? If not, we'll just keep going. But as I said, we're going to go back into this map. And we're going to set some layer controls first. So, you know, base map I'll go ahead and cancel that. But base map, we've got base map and group layers. So base map, I'll just come in here and say base map. This is where I can turn on my aerial photos, my street layers, so forth. And I'll just come down in here, I'll turn on parcels and buildings and streets. Yeah. Turn on the base maps, we'll hit apply. So I turn on that. I can make as many base maps as I want. I can also add groups of layers, like, hey, my group of layers is going to be hydrants, so I want people to be able to see hydrants. And when they turn on the hydrant layer, we'll turn on some different water data here. So I'm just turning on groups of layers. Instead of giving somebody out in the field 50 or 100 different layers, I'm just giving them groups of layers to turn on. You know, maybe we ought to add another group layer here called meters, water meters. So I'm modifying and setting up this layer set to work best for my end users. Turn on my service. Okay, so we can make as many base layers as we'd like, as many group layers as we would like. So we'll also come in here and we'll let people select items. We'll let them select hydrants because they need to create work orders and attach assets. So here I am in hydrant. What displays field? What layer is going to be displayed when they select them? How about facility ID? Do I have a style sheet? Yeah, I want a big star when they select it, showing which hydrant they selected. How close do I have to be to a hydrant to select it? Let's say 25 feet. So I can be very specific here about how I set this up. And when they select a hydrant, what attributes do I want them to see? Maybe I don't want to see ancillary role or enable, life cycle status. So I can turn attributes off and on that I want people to see or not see. You know, I can change. We'll call this new ID because that's what people know. So I can change aliases. I can change this to a date or a time. So if I've got a condition date here, I'll just go ahead and change that to a date, and that'll show up as a date. So I can select as many fields as I want. So this is allowing groups or users out in the field to select different fields or different assets. So let's let them select a meter. And we'll go through the same thing. Okay? So I've got some layers set here in my map. I've let some people select some features. Let's go ahead and turn on the GPS enable. So now here I've got my GPS tracking. So people can turn on their GPS just like Google Maps and have the blue bouncing ball and have it follow down the street and the map trail along. I've got some searches here. Let's set up a search. I want to let people find hydrants. So I've got a search already set. So we'll come in here and allow people to search on the hydrants, and it'll be a hydrant search. And it's going to be a description. It's going to be a search by address or ID. We'll go ahead and hit apply. So we're starting to flush this out. We're starting to get this map a little more usable for my hydrant testers. So let's go ahead and hit apply and save our work. And now if I come back to my iPhone Cityworks app, Freeance Mobile for Cityworks, I'll go ahead and jump back, and one more time, I'll save the application. I'll log in with my Cityworks login. I'll go into my map. And I'll go ahead and call up my base map. I'll call up hydrants. I'll call up water meters. We'll go ahead and save that. And let's go ahead and you notice we have a search here. Let's go ahead and search on a hydrant. So I happen to know there's a hydrant out front of my building here. We'll go ahead and type in the street address. We'll get some results on that. Once again, that's searching the live ArcGIS map service. So if I hit the ID here, I'll go to the attribute information. And if I click over on the left, it will go ahead and zoom to that map feature. So there's that hydrant that I just searched on. So I can go ahead and identify it. I can also, because I want to attach a work order to it possibly. So let's go in here and identify it. Click on it. Attach a work order to it. Now let's go in here and say, well, I'd like to change how work orders look. There's some modification I can make to the work order or the service request inspection. So let's go in here and let's go into the hydrant test. And what I want to do is go into work order and change some things. I want to add some custom universal fields. And I'll go ahead and add a couple. I'll have a text and we'll add that. And we'll say this is maybe condition, but whatever I use for custom fields. Maybe one of them wants to be auto-populate, so we can select GIS data like the parcel address or the watch valve ID and have that auto-populate from the GIS. So we're going to go ahead and say, hey, let's auto-populate from my map service, which I made, the hydrant test, and we're going to grab information from the parcel data. I just want to grab the closest parcel street address here. So it's probably this location street. And that's the same field I also want to show. So there we go. We can start to show and populate data automatically from the GIS. We've got storerooms, so I can start putting storerooms in here. Descriptions, comments. This is if I've got some standard comments that I don't want to have to type all the time. So this will allow me to just select a standard comment and have it populate in the comment field. I can make as many of those as I want. Now here I've got my fields for creating a work order, and I can hide certain fields if I want. If I don't want people to write child work orders, I can hide that field, maybe hide inspections. They're not using tasks, so let's go ahead and hide that. So I can hide different fields that I don't want people to use, so I can really skinny this down to a very simple work order if I want it. And that's the same goes for updating and creating work orders. Maybe I don't want to see expense type. Maybe I want to hide map and tile. On the other hand, I want status and address required. That'll actually change those fields to red. So let's go ahead and hit apply. And I can do the same for service requests. I can come in here and say, hey, I want to modify some things for service requests or inspections. So let's go ahead and hit apply on this. And let's go back into our iOS app. There's a couple other functions here that we could show you. We do have some map editing, that we can actually edit the GIS map service, map features, I should say, right in here. And this is another map service that I have going, and it'll allow me to edit map features. So I can come in and create a new point, fill out the attributes. So with Freeance Mobile for Cityworks, I also have the ability to edit GIS map features, not only attach them to work order, service request, inspections, but actually edit, move, delete, so forth, create. Now that's a optional feature that the system administrator can set up. That's not universally tiled on for everybody. A lot of groups will go ahead and edit fields, or I should say GIS layers that are field notes, not actual production layers. We also have the ability here to go into and use a GPS tracker. So with Freeance Mobile, we can also track devices, iPhones, Androids, iPads. So this is actually sending GPS breadcrumbs back to my ArcGIS service. So I can see where people went, how fast they were going, what time it was. And those are animated points that show up right on the map, live. This can be turned off and on by the end user. So I want to turn on different collections. We'll go ahead and stop it. Stop logging. So the end user can determine when they're being tracked or not. We can have different forms for different users. So once again, this is sending live breadcrumbs, GPS breadcrumbs, back to my ArcGIS server. So that was the 30-minute technical demonstration we wanted to show you, just kind of a quick how Freeance works, how it's set up. And we'll entertain any questions, any comments people have out there. And I'll leave the mic open. If there's, really appreciate everybody attending. And as I said, I'll stay on the mic. If anybody's got any questions, we'll go ahead and select them now. So I see Vince emailed in, chatted in, how many devices can be tracked? Really unlimited. It's a device-side application that you load up, and then it sends a GPS unique to that device ID, so it'll send a map feature right to ArcGIS server, but there's not really a limit on how many features or how many devices can be tracked. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my desktop here and see if I have any more chats. We got a couple more here. Somebody asked, can you mash up services from different GIS map services, for example, base map? We cannot do that. Freeance Mobile cannot mash up different map services. What we have to do right now until we get this programmed fixed and by the end of the year or so, you've got to put all your layers into one map service. Can you completely hide a selection such as service requests or inspections? That's a good feature request. Currently we can't, but it seems like that would be very easy to do. And then how many devices can be tracked from the breadcrumb map? Once again, just really unlimited number. So thanks, Vince, for asking those. And as I said, if anyone else has any other questions, we'll hang around for a little bit to answer anything. Either just pick up the mute and ask a question over the phone or chat in.
Hey, Chuck?
Yes.
You're showing it on the iPhone, but it could be used both on the iPhone and a tablet?
Yeah, it can be used on an iPhone, iPad, Android, smartphone, or tablet, and you configure it just once. I mean, that hydrant testing configuration I built, profile as we call them, that can be brought up on any mobile device. That was not specific to an iPhone. That could be an iPad, an Android 7-inch tablet. So once you set up a profile with Freeance Mobile, it's usable on all different devices.
Okay, thank you.
We got a couple more questions. Can you select a work order on a map or select an open work order from a feature? Yeah, you can. You can select a work order from a map feature. Our next release coming out with 13.2 in a couple months, you're actually going to be able to see work orders and service requests on the map and select them and bring up that work order. So yes, you can. Can you create unattached work orders? Yeah, absolutely. You do not have to attach a work order to a map asset. You can, as frequently people need to do, just attach it to a GPS point if you want. Maybe it's a pothole. So I can come into the iOS or the iPad and just select a point on the screen and attach a work order to that location, not to a map asset, but an XY location. So yeah, thanks for that question also. Hey, Courtney, how do we, I had somebody technically come in. Log in, we'll go back to options. There's our hydrant test, we'll save that, we'll go to our login, we'll go to our work order, and lo and behold, we'll go ahead and create. And here was some of the changes we made. I remember we had, we can come in and turn on GPS location. So some of our changes that we made in here come in. There's our geopopulate. Remember we had, let's go grab our street address, our closest street address. There's our condition. I think we had under comments, we had a default comment that was good. So there's our changes that we made. We can go ahead and save that, and we can go ahead and update that. I can come in here and say, well, I've got some tasks. I want to add additional tasks. All my tasks come in. So we'll go ahead and find a task. And we'll add that. I can add as many tasks as I want. So there's my new task that came in. My labor, equipment, materials, I can come in and add those, attach them to the asset, attach them to the task. So there's my two tasks. Or maybe attach them to one of the asset I had. Attach them to both at the same time. So we can go ahead and do all that. I can save it. I can close it. I can update it. If I update it, there's those required fields that I had that I turned on. Once again, my custom fields. I can close it. And all my rules in Cityworks, if I go ahead and close this, it says, hey, I can't close that. I've got some things to do before I close it. Maybe I've got open tasks. Maybe I've got an actual finish date that must go in there. So all my rules that I have set up for Cityworks are followed. I can't circumvent things just because I'm in Freeance Mobile. So Freeance Mobile really follows all the templates and how you have Cityworks server set up. So thanks for Courtney for saving the day, and that's kind of the information I wanted to save in there. So we'll go ahead and stop sharing the desktop again. We'll see if there's any more questions, chats. Can you display event layers? Yeah, you can display event layers, and you can identify them, service requests, work orders. But that's what we wanted to show you today, and we appreciate everybody attending. And once again, I'll hang around if anybody's got any questions they want to ask or chat in. We'll also throw out there, you can go to FreeanceMobile.com, the Cityworks page, and sign up for an eval. If you got 2013, we'd love to stuff in an eval. It takes about 60 minutes to install, and you can kick this around on your own Cityworks server. If you just want to go to the Play Store or the iTunes Store, you can download the device side application and use that sample data we have loaded up there. I don't think I see any more questions. As I said, we'll go ahead and sign off now. We appreciate everybody. Well, we got a photo question. Can you attach photos to the field and push it back to the GIS? The photos are attached right now through a custom universal field, and they are attached to a work order that way. They come, and they do get pushed back to the server, so I can bring them up in a Flex viewer. I can bring them up in the Cityworks web client. I can bring them up anywhere. They are attached to the work order, service request inspections, but they're attached by a custom universal field. I can also attach as many photos as I want, and the end user out in the field, when he brings up a record, Cityworks record that already has a photo attached to it, he can actually delete those existing records or photos and or add new ones. So once again, I appreciate everybody. It seems like we're going to kind of sign off here now. It doesn't look like we've got any more questions. More information, www.freeancemobile.com, and just go to the Cityworks page. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great Friday and a good weekend.